It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis!
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
Welcome to the Observation Deck, a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind virtual platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus, just like you would in real life. First, you install the application and design your very own unique avatar. Then you're free to explore the various areas of the campus at any time from anywhere. There's so many areas and activities to choose from on the platform. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, a large expo hall, a movie theater, a nightclub, an art gallery, and even a beach. Come attend a conference, or take a class, or hear a lecture. Meet new friends and interact directly with presenters. It's all right here on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Where in the world will you go?
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today by going to tesacan.org/EA. That's TESACAN.org/EA.
Welcome to the first annual Experiencer Day put on by TESA. In this segment, we're going to be talking to experiencers in the Experiencer Roundtable, where TESA will discuss reports with the experiencers who've reported in 2019 and 2020 who are willing to come forward and share their experiences for the first time publicly. Ryan Stacey, TESA's lead investigator, will enforce their experiences by sharing parts of the investigation process as well. So stay tuned to learn more about how TESA can help you. If you decided to submit a report to our organization, you could go to www.tesacan.org/reporting system. To enter the draw for the Experiencer Day mystery box, the magic letter for this segment is I, like Illuminati. Collect your letter from each segment in the E-Day schedule and unscramble the magic word and submit your best guess to admin@tesacan.org email to enter your name into the draw. There are 8 letters in total, so be on the lookout. That's a great prize, lots of goodies in there. And if you like what you hear and what TESA is doing, please send us a super chat. That's a great way to show your support. And for today only, we are only accepting super chat questions. Those are the only ones that will be answered today. All proceeds will be going into the TESA mission, but half of the proceeds today will be sent to the Shriners Children Hospital, and we are so happy to support this charity. So if you can, please donate, and thank you. Let's welcome our wonderfully courageous experiencers today.
Okay, thank you, Chantal. Or Cece. We are going. That's two. So before we bring everybody in, I just want to set the tone here. So what's going to happen is we're going to ask the experiencers to share their experiences based on the images that I'll put on the screen. So I'm going to put on some images that relate to their particular experience. And the reason for that is some people report multiple experiences to us, and we just kind of want to focus on those people or those pieces of evidence. The other members of TESA that are here, which is we have Serena, we have Dave Petrella here, we have Tim the Demon Guy Morrison. Looks like he's stretching or relaxing in the back. I can see you, even though you're not on camera, but I can see you, buddy. So if you guys want to pipe in and put your sense or your expertise in there to assist the experiencers, go right ahead. I've already investigated these, so I'm curious to hear your input as well. And as for the experiencers, of course, thank you so much for coming forward. Thank you so much for making this day even possible. This entire day is for you and others like you. So you're setting that example today by coming forward and actually sharing your experience. So thank you and welcome. So we'll bring the team in here. So here's Serena, and then we have Dave Petrella, and we have Tim the Demon Guy, and then we'll bring in Robert, and we'll bring in Carol, and then we have Klaus, and we have. I'm going to turn the banner off, but Lisa's husband is stepping in right now until Lisa is able to be here. That's okay. Where we go here? Okay. You guys can turn your mics on and off as you wish to speak. I'd like to know if anybody would like to go first. Anybody? No hands, eh? No hands.
I'm sure you just pick from the goodies.
That's it. So Klaus, he put his hand up. So we'll go from there. So let's bring him out. Your mic on?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. We can hear you. So what I'm going to do, and I think I only have one for you. So I actually have a recreation video. So I'm going to play that since I have this one made up for you. Have you seen this yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So this is also another reason why I wanted to have you guys here, because you can kind of see of something that we've done with your experience.
Oh yeah, there it is.
So then I will also show, since I have it for you, the actual piece of evidence that you submitted. And then what I'd like you to do is just explain to everybody in your own words what happened this day. So I'm
Do you want me to explain while it's filming, or?
You can do whatever you want. If you want, it's filming right now. You ready? Let's go.
Yeah. So anyways, I was leaving my mom's house and we're waiting at the corner. This is looking west. And I noticed these lights flashing, and it's totally different than any other aircraft in Edmonton. I've lived here 35 years. So I go, hey, look at the UFO. And I tried to zoom in and keep it as steady as possible. I only got about maybe 10 seconds of good video. Then, of course, I start flailing around. It had no noise. I called my dad, who lives, I don't know, 10 blocks away or so. And I told him to go stand on his porch and look west, northwest. And he's seen it. And the lights were horizontal when he's seen them. And they pivoted on the first light upwards into a horizontal position. And it went behind some houses by where he was, and he lost sight of it. And that's it. And they blinked from the right to the middle to the left in order, and one at a time. And it was just an anomalous thing I'd never seen before. So I figured I would send it to somebody who could probably do something with it. So
I did quite a lot with this one. So I don't know if you're aware, but this one made it in my Canadian Current Event Survey. So this, I know it's hard for you to see here, but this book here, you're actually this case is actually in the back end of the book. And the reason for that is because it reinforces some of these government documents that we've recovered. And when I did some work on this for you, did you get the report at the completion of the investigation? Did you get that? If not, we can give that to you.
I might have, but if you can send it again to me, I think you still have it.
Yeah, I can send it to you anytime. Just ask for it. It belongs to you. So I did some work. And in that report, I'll kind of explain that from that video, I was able to figure out where you were standing, how far away that stop sign was, to determine the angle and the elevation and the pitch and everything, to determine approximate size of the craft. And with that, I estimated approximately 13 feet wide, assuming that the object was as close to those trees that you can see in the video. Now, we don't know if that is further away. That's just the closest object that I'm able to find to measure, to give it a minimum distance. Now, with everything that you've explained before in the travel of the, let me see here, with your second witness, because you had a second witness pick it up as well.
Yeah.
Over in the further corner, I think that's the object location.
The bottom left one. Yeah.
Bottom left there. So on the trajectory of its flight path as you described it, and I've just recreated the event, so let me just kind of flick through the pictures here. Some of these are just my work to explain myself in the report. So there I was bringing myself to kind of put myself there, boots on the ground, in a sense. That's the stop sign in which you were standing in front of when you videotaped that. That's the aerial view. So this gives me a bunch of information, so I'm able to measure. That's how I'm able to get all that math that I showed in that picture. So these are just kind of examples, but what I want to see what I got here. I'm just not quite sure if this has personal information or not. So let me just take a quick look at it first. And yeah, no, not that one. Sorry. Okay, no. So what I'll explain actually to piggyback off of that one is I did follow up with an investigation. I did track it. It did happen to have a straight line trajectory over the Canadian Forces base, military base. So following that straight line to as you had reported it, and over that field and whatnot too. So I contacted the Canadian Forces base. There's no record found of them reporting any object that flew directly over the base. So I found that interesting because I showed them the video after. And the response that I got back from that is they're not saying that the event didn't happen. They're just saying that they didn't make a report on it. So we can kind of speculate around whether or not just the report doesn't exist or they're kind of hiding it. We really don't know, but at least I can verify through your video, which is why I use it as an example in the book, is that you have evidence. It went over a military base and the military base doesn't have any record of it. So that kind of is a good example that I'm going to use forever in the future to explain or kind of ask that question. It's like, how do you not know that? Because this video shows something that can't be explained. And it doesn't, to me, doesn't look like a drone. It doesn't look like a blimp of some sort. It definitely looks unusual. And so I'm unable to determine what that is today. Have you figured it out?
Not from anything I've looked into. I honestly don't have a lot of time to do that, but I don't know. I still talk to my dad about it, and we banter back and forth. But it's bigger than any like helicopter or anything that would be there. And the only helicopters in Edmonton are the police helicopter and the global helicopter and STARS air ambulance. And they're definitely, STARS doesn't move that slow, and the police chopper doesn't, and usually any helicopters are up a lot higher as well, and they don't have the same type of lights as that.
I also did some video work for you to kind of show some contrast to see if there were any other lights in the sky. So it's the same video, but it's more so picking up. Those are the street lights that you see at the beginning, but then you can kind of see the blinking pattern as well. And when you play it in slow-mo, you can't really see it, but there might actually be a fourth light as well, instead of just those three prominent ones that you see. And I can send that all to you too with that report. If you didn't get it, you should have got it when I was done. So just send me an email, then I'll send all that stuff to you.
Perfect.
So that's been done, and that's what we do. And thank you for submitting that.
I appreciate it a lot. And
thanks for being here. Do the any of the TESA members here have an explanation for me of what that might be? Tim, you're shaking your head. Yeah, you're not a UFO guy. You're a paranormal guy, ghost guy. It's not a ghost.
It's not a ghost.
Everyone else is nodding their head or shaking their head. No one knows. No answers, eh? What about any of the experiencers? Have you seen anything else like this yourselves? Anyone else want to? No. Okay.
Hey Ryan, I'll make a comment, Ryan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, actually, I was going to ask if Klaus is still there. I was going to ask if it seemed like one solid unit, or you think it was three separate craft. Essentially, you think it was one craft.
To me, I think it was one object of some sort, whatever it was, and I thought maybe if it was a set of drones, someone would have to be extremely talented to keep them like that. And then the pivot that it did later on, I don't know much about drones, but I'm pretty sure you'd have to have at least a little bit of talent. And it seemed large, so I guess if you're going to do that, someone would probably come say something like, "Hey, don't fly that stuff around." I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not a tech guy or anything, so.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because, I do a lot of stuff. Well, I'm an astrologer, but I also do a lot of stuff with metaphysics and dimensions. I don't know if you have interest in that field, but sometimes there can be a few people, and actually this goes for really anything. It's not just craft. It's really for life in general. But you can have 20 people in a room, and there's 2 or 3 people that see something or notice something, and everyone else has no clue. And then you find yourself I found myself a lot of times looking around me, and I'm like, you guys not seeing that? Am I literally? And so I started to question, maybe I'm actually the one seeing it. But this association with military bases, whether, I guess probably they're going to deny most of the time that there was, if they had picked something up on radar. I mean, I don't think they would probably say it anyway, but I wonder if it's something like the craft. There might be some kind of a contract between what they're doing and what the governments are doing. It might be happening. I believe the craft can phase in between dimensions and things like that. So it might have been that you're tuned to the specific frequency that they were operating in, and the other witness, and then everyone else, maybe they weren't tuned to that frequency.
Well, when I was in the car, I was with my mom and her boyfriend too, and they both seen it. And I talked to my mom about it today, and she's like, "Klaus, I really don't like that. It just scares me. It makes me feel like ugh." And then I bug her about it. I'm like, aliens are coming for you, Swindlin. So, but
Yeah,
she doesn't like talking about it. Brett doesn't mind, and my dad and I, like I said, we talk about it all the time.
Did it feel like foreboding at all, or did it feel, anything strange, or was it just fascinating to you? Or
I had no feelings of terror or anything like that. I just felt really neat, and all I kept thinking was, I just got to at least get a decent film of it, try to hold my camera straight, and of course I get about like 10 seconds, and then I half drop the camera, and then we started driving towards it, and that's when I was like, oh, I'll call my dad and get him to have a look. And I just needed like another person. So there was total 4 people altogether that had witnessed that.
oh, okay, that's pretty good. That's not bad at all. 4 people.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
that's
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
How do you put your hand up?
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I just do it like, okay, you're not clicking on. What interests me is that it was close to a Canadian forces base.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because coming from England, we had the Rendlesham, but we had nuclear weapons and we weren't supposed to have them. But I went online, and Canada isn't supposed to have nuclear weapons or chemical weapons, but we are dependent on the US. But I'm wondering if they're checking out, they're checking out every military base, whether it's got nuclear weapons or not. It seems like they're coming down and check, and they can, if there's weapons there, they can knock them out, whether it's on the land, the sea, or the air.
Mm-hmm. Carol, while I have you, let me see here. This is yours. Do you remember this event right here?
I can't see anything right now.
Oh, let me show you right here on the screen, right here.
Yeah, that was 1956.
Yeah. So you want to tell everybody about that experience? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
1956, my father had died. I was 11 years old. He had been gassed in the First World War, and his health slowly declined. Chronic bronchitis and emphysema, and cancer. I think this is why I've got lung problems. Anyway, so he died, and my cousin was 5 years older than I was, and he was told to keep an eye on me. So we were playing badminton over the garden wall. This was in North London, north of the Thames, and we had he hit the birdie and it went on the factory roof, and we couldn't get it, so he had to go up. There was no elevators. He had to go up at least a dozen flights of stairs. It was one of these terraced houses, all joined together, and had, I don't know how many, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different levels. Anyway, he had to go all the way to the top of the apartment. It used to be one house, one family, and they, after the First World War, they got rid of the servants and they made it into separate apartments. So he had to go all the way up these stairs and then come down with a new birdie. And just as he went up, I saw this disc hanging. It was a daylight sighting, and the sun was shining off of it. It was silver, and we were used to seeing aircraft going over because the US, Churchill had asked, Britain was on its last legs, and Churchill asked Roosevelt for help. So it was easier for the US forces to be stationed in England in the Second World War. And then the Cold War came, so we still had the US forces stationed in our, they took over our Royal Air Force bases. So we had Farnborough, Royal Air Force Farnborough. So we were used to see in the military, the US aircraft and the RAF flying over. And we were used to seeing the civilian aircraft going into London Airport. But this thing just hung there silently. Anyway, and he came down, my cousin came down, and I said to him, look. So it had been hanging there for at least 5 or 10 minutes. And we both stood there looking at it. And then it winked out. It never went anywhere. Pardon me. And then this is something what usually happens. Neither one of us said anything to each other after that. And then I had strange dreams about.
I was just going to lead into that, because then it wasn't just a sighting. There's a bunch of other things that have transpired after this that hasn't been worked out yet.
Yeah, I haven't gone into regression. I'm thinking of Leslie Mitchell Clark. She's not far from me. I've got a company I've got into now, and they're going to share the profits. So maybe I can now afford to go to her. But I felt like I had dreams about what I thought being at Stonehenge on a slab. It could have been inside a craft. They were trying to get into my mind, and it was terrifying. There were ghosts in the house. There was a woman where her feet disappeared into the staircase. I had dreams about ETs jumping out at me. They were having fun, and I'm saying to them, don't do that. That scares me. And then I struggled with entities. I struggled with what I thought was negative entities. Anyway, my uncles came here, and my mother said, go follow your uncles to Canada. You'll have a better life. And when I came here, I started going to all the UFO conventions. I met Betty Hill. She was in Ottawa at the time lecturing, and then she invited us back to her house, her friend's house, and I sat at her feet. I've met Travis Walton. I've met Larry Warren from the Rendlesham case. And then later on, I've had what they call a near-death. I don't know, it was a religious experience, a spiritual experience, a mystical experience, a near-death, an out-of-body experience. I was above the earth. The earth was like, I had pneumonia. That's why I call it near-death. I was above the earth. The earth was like a blue marble. I'd actually asked for a glimpse of heaven. And I turned, and there was this being in silhouette, and the light behind it was blue-white like a welder's torch. And our sun was yellow compared to this light. And it had long hair and a long robe. And I was in a Christian frame of mind, whereas now I'm everything. And I said, do you know what's going on down there? And I went to speak, and it saw into my heart. It was telepathy. There was no misunderstanding. I cried. It was like I had a life review. And then I was told to let go of everything on Earth. I thought it was the earth, the air, fire, water, plants, and animals. I thought it was physical things. Anyway, I finally let go, and this being had so much love for humanity. It wasn't like earthly love. And the more I let go, then this love went right through me. It was ecstasy. It was exquisite. It was euphoric. I realized how starved we are on Earth. And then I stood alone. Even the love I had for my mother. She was still alive at the time. I had to let her go. Anything that would keep me earthbound. And then I stood alone. It was like I was God. There was no one. I was it. There was no one in the cosmos. There was no one else in solar systems or galaxies or solar systems, the universes or any dimensions, right? And then I realized I wasn't me anymore. I wasn't Carol Stacey anymore. I was consciousness in a body. That everything is consciousness. And this unconditional love. And then these highly evolved beings told me to go back and give out. So currently I am teaching remote viewing. I'm teaching transcending levels of consciousness to raise the level of humanity. I'm teaching the history of UFOs, or higher intelligences of humans, and also my near-death, my out-of-body experience. And I'm writing a book, starting to write a book. I'm doing presentations, I guess, on my travels to Egypt and the canyons in the American Southwest. I'm also interested in starting to run groups again.
Good.
So that's it, folks.
No, thank you so much for sharing that, Carol. I appreciate that. And just like we've met before, we have the same last name, but we're not related, or we related? We could never figure that out. I think we probably are.
Yeah, I have to do ancestry or something.
Yeah, do something like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan.
No, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Do any of you experiencers want to comment as well? We will. I'm just doing some math here. If I give everyone about 10 minutes or so and we go over a little bit, everyone will have a chance to share their experience. So, but does anybody here want to add any intake or input?
I'm curious, was the sighting that you drew the picture of, was that your first experience and then everything proceeded from that initial sighting, or had you had paranormal type experiences previous to that sighting?
The actual sighting of a UFO, yeah, that was the first for me. But I remember when I was a child in my cot, I thought that a witch had run her fingers down my spine. So maybe, it goes back before that.
Well, if you that is currently the only report that I have from you, and I know through that report you divulged into all of those other elements, and I do remember asking you if you could split them up so we can measure them separately. So if you're still interested in doing that,
but when it comes to dates, Ryan,
don't worry about that. You just do the best that you can, the best as you can remember. It doesn't have to be perfect. But then, so we can help you with that. And as far as regression goes, I heard you say, you'll go to Leslie when you can afford it. Well, there are resources that we have that can assist people who need it. So money shouldn't be an issue. If that's what's holding you back and you need it, like there are things that we can talk about at that time. So don't. That's just, you do whatever you need to do for your own journey. But by reporting and things like that, we can help. We can help you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It's good to know. Yeah, because I'm right now I'm on a government pension and
it's the reason why we're doing this free event for experiencers is to give back to people that have come forward. Everyone is part of that. You guys are setting the example here. Not one experience is rated at any different level than anyone else. The whole idea is bringing us together is to try to understand and show that it's connected, or at least we are connected, because you guys are the witnesses. Tim and I are just the investigators, and CC, Serena, Dave, and even my wife Priscilla, like they're the healers. They're the ones that take care of you, but we need to understand, what's really going on. So thank you so much.
You've done phenomenally well, Ryan, since I first met you.
Yeah, you followed me all the way through MUFON too. So no, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Robert, we're going to put you up next if it's okay. I have queued here, these are a couple reports that you've done. I don't know which one you want to bring up or if you want to talk about all of them, but
brother, to be honest,
some things need to be explained. You don't know, you don't remember?
So the one with the picture, the entrance to closet.
Okay.
All right, that was the portal that opened up in a closet when I was probably around 13, I think. But it opened up before that too. It has to do with the secret space program and the 20 and back theory that you recruited unwillingly, taken from your home, you're trained, sent off world you first go through the lunar orbital control on the backside of the moon and then go out to various other places depending on where they need you. You're either on the ships or you're on various bases. There's a base on Mars. There's a platform in the rings of Saturn. There's a base that floats in the gas in the gaseous areas of Jupiter, and so on and so forth. There's some on the moons as well, but And that's basically what it is. It's about, you spend at least 20 years. You really don't get to come home. But then when you come home, it's a regression type of deal. They literally, I don't know exactly how. It takes a couple weeks, but 2 or 3 weeks to a month maybe, but you regress back to the point where you were taken, so that it doesn't look like you missed any time, but you're actually living, in essence, 2 lives in one, if that makes sense to people. My thing with them was precognition, looking at events that were going to happen in the near future.
And you can report those too, and with those, I have a few. So these are the ones we can't really prove in terms of precognition yet, but by reporting them, they're time stamped. So they're coded. You have a copy of it, and then what we encourage experiencers to do is, whenever that date comes up, is to give us the evidence that had happened, and then we can reinforce that at a later date, because we can timestamp these visions that everyone's getting, and there's a way to measure that. You just got to wait a little bit, sometimes a few years, sometimes a day, and it takes a process. And so yeah. What about these marks and this insignia? Remember, this insignia here was something they were wearing, right?
Oh, that looks like the jumpsuit. Yeah, it was basically a shoulder flash or insignia for. It was basically, it looked like the solar, or it looked like, basically like our solar system, with eyes. And basically it's like, I think their kind of thing was, we see everything. And it was, I want to say I was wearing, like, if I remember correctly, it was like a blue jumpsuit, or dark blue jumpsuit or something like that. And this shoulder flash was on one side. And that was kind of like their thing. They saw everything, or they tried to get us to see everything that was within the unit, within the solar system. So, I mean, it was, weird, I guess, is kind of an odd, off-putting kind of way to see things.
What about these markings?
I honestly don't know where they came from. They just kind of appeared overnight.
And were they were separate events, or were they associated with these visitations?
They were separate events. Things started coming back, and as things started, I mean, I would wake up with like marks, scars on me, or cuts and stuff overnight, and I would have no idea how I got them. The best thing I can figure is that I was still being, I guess, utilized. It's the best way to work it, or to word it. Still being utilized to do what needed to be done, and then I would be put back.
Okay, I see some. I see, Lisa, you're nodding your head. That sounds familiar. Yeah, I'm going to get to you. I'm going to get yours prepped next. Robert, thank you for sharing. I'm going to call to Tim or Dave, because you mentioned the solar system. For maybe Dave could comment on that, and then Tim, I think you might be able to comment on the markings. And then anyone else who might want to pipe in. What do you guys think?
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I'll
Dave.
comment.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Well, it actually kind of reminds me of a few of the stories from the Bible. There's Ezekiel, there's Enoch, and they were basically brought up into the heavens, and they were shown, hey, here's the solar system. This is how everything works. This is what it looks like. And then when they came back, they had this broad knowledge, of something that you couldn't have known unless you went up there and you actually saw it yourself. Now, I can say this, actually, I don't mind sharing this. There's a fine line between dreaming and, lucid dreaming and visions and all these types of things. But first of all, I totally believe you. I've seen bases myself in other parts of the solar system at least one time. And I saw like, it must have been 60 to 80 planes that were all lined up. I was, I guess, out of body. I don't really know how to explain it. And there was kind of a haze, and I was floating there. And the sensation that I got was that I was very far from the Earth, and it was not like a typical dream. It was like I was actually, participating in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for that story, though. I hope that helps you a little bit of perspective. It's happened in thousands of years. This type of thing has been happening. It's not a new occurrence.
Okay, Tim, do you got any comments on that, or did you disappear? Where are
No,
you?
I'm here.
Okay.
No, I'm here. The markings are always interesting to me. Whether in a dream state you're doing it to yourself, or something or somebody is doing it to you, which raises the two concerns. Obviously, with blacklight, we look at you end up with injuries. Okay, could a criminal activity have taken place? That part now of the investigation, when blacklight is doing it, they will, we look into the paranormal, but we have to talk about the reality that you're ending up with scratches and needle marks. So that's a concern. Still could be unexplained. Okay, there's still that paranormal edge. Okay.
Robert, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean it is what it. I've thought about that. Like, is there like a criminal element or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, there were like 3 dogs in the house, and they were very close to the bed, and nothing. They didn't make a peep all night long. So if it was something, it either has to put them to sleep, put my wife to sleep, take me, or do something to me. So it's a really, yeah, I mean, we did think about things like that. And my wife said a couple of times she kind of woke up in a little bit of a haze and said that there was like a tall, dark figure standing off in the corner watching. And then she said it would just kind of disappear. So I don't know. It's interesting.
It is interesting, and I do like to mention that we live in a world of hidden cameras and surveillance equipment. There's no reason why you can't temporarily put something up in your room if these things are happening, and especially if they're happening on a regular basis.
Yeah, I've thought about that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to pipe in before we move? Yeah, go ahead.
Robert, have you met anybody else that's had this experience?
Kind of yes and kind of no.
Okay.
I know people who have had the experience. Whether or not they've had, whether or not we've passed in one of the bases or at lock, I can't say. Like, I remember some people, but I don't remember everybody.
Because I know one person that's had that same experience. They tortured him. They made him bond with a partner, and then he was taught to fly UFOs.
Yeah.
Around, right. And then he took me, actually I was at the UFO, the last, before COVID, with Ryan. I met Ryan there. And at one of the hotels, and I think Travis, there was the UFO convention.
Alien Cosmic Expo.
Yeah, Alien Cosmic Expo. And he took me to meet Randy Kramer, who's had the same experience, right? And Corey Good.
Yeah.
Corey wasn't there, but I met Randy, yeah.
Okay.
And this, my friend has had regression with Leslie Mitchell Clark. I also met Leslie there that night.
Yeah, so Randy Kramer sounds familiar to me, but I'd have to see him. I've got a great memory for faces.
Had him recently on our podcast, our closing podcast. He, some people hate him, some people like him, but the people that like him are the ones who are affected by the same thing. So I'm not going to be the judge of that. You guys are, if anything, you can validate that whether or not Randy Kramer's story is true or not. that doesn't really matter because you guys, this is corroborating evidence. So, there's something going on. So perhaps, maybe he's telling the truth. Perhaps, maybe, just looking at the evidence that way to give some balanced thought. So, okay, Lisa, you've had quite the plethora of experiences. So I've just done a bit of a lineup here. If these are multiple events over multiple cases over time. Your mic is muted, by the way.
Okay.
So I got a bunch of other ones I could put up too, and you've just published. You got a book that just came out that has more cases in which we haven't seen. So I'm going to leave it up to you to kind of explain whatever way you want to do it, and then we'll get CC in here, and hopefully we'll still have enough time to get into the next show. But we'll carry on. Go ahead.
Okay, the first picture there to the left, the 3 spears, that there is of my first experience. I remember I was only 3.5 years old, and we used to live in a row house. In our backyard, there was a large field, and we had a wire fence at the end of our yard, and back of that was a man-made hill with train tracks on it. And back of that was this huge field. Like, I was not allowed to go into this field, but I did anyways. I just had this urge to go down into the field. So I did. I would leave my home. I go out the front door. I take a turn to the right. I would go down a little ways, down the street. And there's an opening that would into the field underneath the tracks there. So I'd go into there. I walk into the field, going to the right. I would walk on there a little ways. And then I would see something, look at the sun. But it was moving. It was moving to the right. Then it stopped. It hovered. Then it changed. I noticed it had a black ring around it with lights going all around it. It looked kind of pretty. And it started getting closer. As it got closer, it changed again. It was no longer had lights around it. It was like a huge bronze metallic spear. I wasn't afraid. I was quite curious, and it got into me closer to the point. It was just huge. And then at that time, that's all I remember. After that, it went blank. It was gone. So I thought, okay, I'll go home. So as I was going home, I was halfway home, and I met some kids. And they're saying to me, "Where have you been? You're gone missing for hours." And I thought, what do you mean by I was gone for hours? Like, I was only out for a short while. I went down to the field, and I was coming home again. So when I got home, my parents are upset with me. It's like, "Where have you been? We've been looking for you everywhere for hours." And I thought, well, what do they mean? This makes no sense. I wasn't out that long. They're so angry with me. They sent me to my bedroom, and I had no supper. This happened to me multiple times. And no matter the trouble I got into, I just had this urge to go down there, and I went down there. I got in trouble. And I remember one night, I was in bed. Something woke me up. So I woke up. The bedroom felt cooler. Not really cold, just cooler. It was during the summer. And I looked at the wall in the back of my room. It was turning black. Like, the whole wall was just turning pitch black. And so I noticed, I saw 8 small beings come through the wall, where it was all black, where the wall should have been, but it was no longer there. And I wasn't afraid. I got up and I approached one of these beings. I noticed their difference, like their looks, like they had huge black eyes. They had no hair, had a large head. They had 2 holes for a nose, a slit for a mouth, no ears. They're only like 3.5 feet tall. And they're like a light gray from head to toe. They only had 4 fingers. And very thin and just like gray. It didn't look like they're wearing anything. They were. It was probably like really, really tight. And I start talking to one. And I said to him, how did you come into my wall? Like, how did you get in here? No response. I told him my name. And no response again. I put my hand out, for a handshake and for some friendship. He just stares at my hand. Nothing. Looks at me from head to toe. And then the atmosphere changed. Something didn't feel right. Something felt wrong. Half of them went to the left side. The other half went to the right side. And all of a sudden, I was paralyzed. I could not move. I was terrified. And when I tried to move, I just felt pain. It was terrible pain. I couldn't even move my eyes. I couldn't move anything. And I couldn't scream. Physically, I couldn't scream if I tried. It felt all my air was being pushed on my lungs. Since I couldn't scream physically, I just screamed in my mind. And as I screamed in my mind, I called my mother. And at that time, I was being picked up off the floor and pulled right towards the wall. The black area where the wall should have been. I was being pulled in that way. That's as far as I remember. I remember I kind of blacked out during that time. So that's all I remember at that time. This happened to me multiple times, like the same thing. They would come in and paralyze me and take me out. And I remember having these recurrent nightmares. I was dreaming about what happened to me, what they're doing to me in my sleep after they've taken me. I would wake up in the morning. I remember I just have nonstop memories just pushed in my head. Like I just remember seeing them being in my room and take me out of my room. I have that all day. I told my mom, I tried to tell her, she just told me I was dreaming. So I didn't know what to do. Yeah, that's starting. I was 3.5 years old. And by the time I was 5 years old, that's when I first seen the reptilians. I seen them. First time I seen them, I remember there's this man dressed in a black suit. And he was taking me down this long hall. The walls were black. There was lights on the side of the walls. As we're walking down, there was other entrances to other rooms. We went down a little ways. Then he turned to the left. He took me in the room to the left. So I went into the room with him. I noticed there was another man there. He was dressed in the black suit as well, with the jacket, the black tie. But this one was wearing sunglasses. And as a child, it didn't make sense why is somebody wearing sunglasses in a dark room. And they didn't really say much. But the one wearing the glasses, he came over to me. He picked me up, put me on his examining table. And then he went over to another table, a white table across from me. He put a briefcase on a table and he opened it up. There was like a chart that would follow mine, and he was looking at it. Then he puts it back in a briefcase. He takes his sunglasses off. And he had brown eyes. He went to the end of the table. He told me to lie down. And the other guy went to the end by my head. And then both of them take my clothes off. And after that, I can hear sound coming from my left side. Again, there should have been a wall there, but there wasn't. It's just a big open black space. I can hear something like a deep guttural. I couldn't make out what it's supposed to be. And I looked, and I could see movement. And I go, those aren't the little people. That's what I called the grays as a child. It's the little people. And I knew it wasn't the gray aliens. It was something else. So they got closer. I can see there were these tall, huge, bulky figures wearing a black hooded shroud. And I remember there's a smell. I cannot describe. It's like a musty smell. And they got closer. I can see their face. And it's like, I was looking to the eyes. As a child, I thought, they're lizard men. Why am I seeing? I was frightened, I was confused. And I could see the color of their skin. Like they had a big nose, like a T-Rex. That's the best way to describe it. They had brown skin, like scales, with a greenish hue. And on their face, they had some black scales on the side of their face, like underneath their eyes, going right down the full length of their face, like black streaks. Mm-hmm. And some had gold yellow eyes, and some had like red eyes. And there's like 5 of them together. 3 went on over towards my right side, and 2 stayed on my left side. And I can remember their hands be touching me in my lower stomach on the sides. I feel like a scratching, burning sensation. And I remember one going by my head beside the man there. And I remember this huge reptilian hand going over my face. And things just went blank. That's all I remember in that one there. That's my first time with the reptilians as a child.
Okay. So I just got to put a little bit of a pause there just so we can make room for Cece as well. But before, and I want to thank you for sharing that, as well as you have a lot of experiences and there's a lot of stuff that we've worked through and a lot that you are still working through. And you've written a book, right? You want to tell everybody about this book that you've finally come out and you're sharing all these experiences about, where they can find it. And then I'll turn to the TESA team to see if they have any suggestions. And then we'll, and I've already told John that we might go over time, so he's okay if we, just to give everyone a chance to talk.
Okay.
So tell everybody about your book. And thank you so much for
Yes.
for coming forward and doing that. You've come a long way.
Yeah, like my book was released on November 30th. It's titled Living in Two Worlds. It starts from my very first encounter and till today, what I'm going through today. And It's available on Amazon. Right now, it's just paperback. I do not have the ebook yet. I've seen it, but I haven't seen it on Amazon yet.
What's it called?
Oh, Living in Two Worlds. Yeah.
Okay.
Living in Two Worlds, a true account of alien encounters.
And when that comes out, you just let us know, and then we'll post it for you, and we'll let everybody know
It's
that.
already out. It's been released on November 30th.
Like, but you can't find it on Amazon. So where can I? Where can I find it?
Did I send
No,
you
she
links?
said the ebook. Yeah.
Oh, the ebook can't be found. Sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, so we'll take care of that.
Yeah, the paperbacks. I think I sent you a link for it too on Amazon. I'm trying to remember.
Okay, I'll check. Sorry, we were just focusing on
Yeah.
getting this all together. So,
Yeah.
Tim, Chantel, that's 3. And Serena, Dave, anyone?
My book's small. It's only 111 pages, but there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of info in there. I mean, I can go on for 3-4 hours telling you everything that's in my book.
No, I know that, and that's why
it's a
it's
lot.
okay. So we do have to keep moving, but we'll bring it back for sure. Thank you,
Yes.
Lisa. So Tim, Dave, Serena, Stacey, any comment?
I'll say something real quick if no one else wants to say something. The beginning description of the sun that you were describing in the field, it really reminded me of the Fatima occurrence in Portugal, actually, which of course was a highly publicized event. Changing shape and people. The description I think started out that they thought it was the sun, and then it suddenly wasn't. Then it looked like a craft or something, and I think it was described as being brilliant and beautiful and all kinds of things like this. But that one really, I don't know. That one really, that part of it specifically really interests me because, I don't know. I feel like I probably have a lot of somewhat similar memories of some type of experience. I don't know what exactly, but, I just remember, I feel like I remember in the back of my head things such as that, like you're describing it, and being in the field and having the brilliant light and everything. And but thanks for sharing your story, and of course I support you.
Thanks, Dave. All right, this is the lucky one that I want to talk about with you. I know you reported a bunch of things, and there's a lot of speculation around a few of the other things, but this is interesting to me, and I can't figure out what this is. So, and this is a little bit on that paranormal side, so maybe Tim can actually do something.
Thanks.
I'm just joking. So, Cece, get us up to speed. What is this and what happened?
Okay, so this was kind of what I called my hell month. So this is when I just had experiences like I couldn't even get over the first one before I had another one. And then I thought I was okay. I was just doing my thing. I was talking to my boyfriend, getting ready to take a shower, and he was in the living room. So we were kind of like chatting across the house, essentially. And I don't even remember what we were talking about. It's not irrelevant. But I was going to take a shower, and essentially the kitchen is right on the other side of the washroom door. My house is just like a long rectangle, so it's pretty basic. And right there, you'll see the sink on the right side, and then there's like an odd pillar and then another pillar there. So, and then the kitchen light in between, and the fridge is kind of like directly behind that. But anyways, I was getting ready to close the door to take a shower, and it caught my attention that the light was being blocked, and I looked up, and there was this figure just standing there, and my heart I felt like it literally stopped for a moment and then just began to race. And I stared at it for about maybe 30-40 seconds. I don't know how long, but I think I blinked, and when I opened my eyes, it had disappeared. But what I remember is it wasn't like transparent at all. It was completely dense. It was black, dense, and what I described it as, I think when I reported it, was this figure had like it almost seemed like it had larger features. Like that's why I drew it in that manner. Had no face, no distinguishable features. It looked 2D, to be honest. But it had just like kind of a thicker outline to it. And I drew that orange around it because it kind of emitted like this static energy type look to it. And it actually did kind of look orange. But then, like I said, it disappeared. I ended up going into the shower, but I was terrified the whole time, like a psycho moment or something. I did not want to go, I cleansed my entire house after that event. And that area there, I don't like walking through those two pillars now, but that's essentially, it was about 5 feet away from me. That's about 5 feet away from the washroom. And when I took that image on the right there, I was standing at the doorway, like where I would have been. So that's where it would have been standing. But it was directly facing forward, not necessarily directed toward me, like on an angle, but it was facing forward and standing there. And the light, it was blocking the light behind it.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And that's your first time ever sharing your experience, and you're helping experiencers, privately for a year now. And this is the first open experience event that we've done. So thank you so much for admitting that you're one of us.
You're one of us.
Tim, the Demon Guy, any comment on what that may or may not be?
This is of course, like you said, it's the first one that you've shared publicly, but we've had conversations, Chantel, and what I appreciate about when you're telling about your experiences, you're so very detailed and then sensible after the fact. So thank you, Cece, and thank you for all the work you do for us. It's just fantastic.
Thank you to everyone. Do either you, Serena, Dave, have any final comments at all for anyone?
Was your? I'm just. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
go
you
ahead,
good.
Serena.
You good. You good.
Serena, you go. You go.
I'm just curious because did I misunderstand? Was your boyfriend in the house at the same time when you saw this, but he didn't get any sense of it, or he didn't see anything at the same time?
No, he was in the other room. Like I didn't tell him about it until the next day, in fact, because I was concerned that if I, because I was in a fear state and I didn't want to perpetuate that. And I was concerned that maybe if I fed him some, there's a creepy figure in our house, that it might, feed off of his fear. I didn't want to scare him. So I told him the next day, but because I was cleansing the house and I had just moved in with him. So it was kind of like a big deal that all of a sudden everything was blowing up. And I was like, by the way, things happened to me. And it was,
by the way, ghosts.
Yeah.
Dave, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, I find it very interesting, this the descriptions that involve a light emanating off of the entity or the being, because what it reminds me of really is the Shining Ones, which is described from really all over the ancient world. And it's really interesting because Carol, I think you were describing the story about the welding light, and I've heard this thing before about this welding light that's like brighter than the sun, and it's like blinding. And I find it very interesting because that's not really something you see in the natural world. And then now with this orange light coming off, but I just feel like, when you don't have a dense physical body, you have a lot more availability to express yourself, I want to say. And it's all energy and electricity. It can manifest itself in large outputs of light and energy. So I think that's great. The more stories we have with that, the shining aspects, I think it can help to build a case for where some of these beings might be coming from.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, just to touch on that before we go, to me, it felt kind of like a void. Like it kind of felt like it was sucking in versus kind of emitting. You know what I mean? Like it felt like it was consuming. That's why I had that fear about it feeding off fear. Well, not fear, but I had that concern about it feeding off fear.
Before we go, I want to come back to Klaus. We started with him, and he had a video that shows this material evidence. All of the rest of you are analogical drawings, which is the best evidence that you could get at the time. So Klaus, I'm curious to know, since you've seen all of these, if you've had any other experiences in your life that are similar to this, that you just might not have reported, and if that was just the only one you've reported so far, just because you had evidence.
When I was younger, I seen the same ghost twice, and I believe I seen a fairy one time. It was golden in color. I can send that information to you if you'd like.
Yeah, please report. Yes, of course.
Sure.
So the point that I was trying to make with that is that we have a lot more evidence here together working as a team if we accept the analogical evidence and we accept the combined witness testimony. And as an investigator, I do these investigations for the first time. Even my expert teams that are sitting here right now are seeing this for the first time. This is live. This is off the cuff. It's not scripted. This process is an investigative process. It's how it should be done, and that's how you use your experts and how you build that team and how you present it. Because regardless of all these methods and the deep dives, we don't really have time to get into the nit and gritty of it. But we're all connected in this moment. We're all here. There's 10 people here on YouTube. I got 9 people on the observation deck, and they're all watching. They're all paying attention, and some of them are nodding their heads. And I can see that in the observation deck. They actually moving their heads. We are connected, and this is also why we must measure everything together, because perhaps these beings are in that craft that Klaus was able to take a photograph of, and he was able to capture that in real time, whereas you guys are able to see it in your mind. And when we're going to find something that lines up, if we take Carol's UFO description, that if we were to imagine those lights of Klaus's event and a shape around it, that might actually be, Carol's craft as well. So like there's so much information that can be combined and dated and tabled. So I'm tired. I'm on hour like 12. We're almost done here. Long day for me. But so the point that I'm trying to make is, with the Ultra Spectrum Paranormal UFO report, we will be showing how you guys are connected to each other in a more detailed and in-depth way. And I do want to let you guys know, and I'm announcing this for the first time, and it's always been in my heart. It was always my plan to do when this book is published. Everyone that is considered an unknown in that book, including the ones that aren't sitting here at the round table today, will get a free copy, and I will send them out to you. And I just want to thank you guys for coming forward. I want to thank the team for actually being the team that I imagine it to be. And we're doing this for the first day. This is TESA. This is what I've been talking about for the last year. And I'm so happy to be able to show that to everybody today. So I'll leave it to you, Chantal, that's 4. There's a game we're playing. It's an inside joke. Okay. So anyways, I'm tired. Forgive me. I'm even looking at it, so I'll leave it to you, because I got to get ready for this closer and then I hit the bed.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody. I had some goosebumps while I listened to some of you, some stories that came to mind for myself. So I want to say, if I was feeling that, probably a lot of others were as well. Just a reminder that the magic letter for this segment was I, such as Illuminati. And stay tuned for the next segment, the premiere of UFOs Without Borders with John Majorowski at 9:30 Eastern Time. Thank you, everybody.
Do any of you guys have anything you want to say before you leave?
I just want to say thanks for letting me be a part of this. I've never done anything like this. I'm sweating bullets, but it was a lot of fun.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for having the courage, and that's what it's all about. And you're setting the example. for others who have experienced the same thing, and that's what we need. We want to bring everyone together. So thank you.
One more thing. I'm going to email you so I can get that the report.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Also, if possible, if you want, I could send you a Christmas card because I've been sending out Christmas cards to a bunch of people. It's got I just drew a cartoon of it and everything. So
yeah, no, of course. Yeah, and I remember you saying you want to do a drawing project too for us too. I was excited to see that.
I'm just about done my book, so we can talk about that afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Awesome.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trout.
Anyone else, Carol?
I just want to say thank you, Ryan, and thank you everybody for the courage to share. During this, I went online, Ryan, and looked at the report, but it's asking me, it wants me to fill in every single
yes, it does.
like dates and times, and I can't do
You
that.
just do the best that you can remember. If you can't remember, leave it blank. At least put something in there as close as possible. It's okay. I will work through you with that. You just have to fill everything out to get through the form.
All right. I've got a presentation as well.
Okay. So you can reference that, and then when I email you, and then you can transfer it then.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Robert, I can't see you because you don't have your video up. So, but how you doing?
Good, man. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be here and to send the reports to you. I appreciate it. It's nice to know that somebody is listening somewhere. Anyway, all right, brother. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks,
Loved
Robert.
everybody.
Lisa?
Yes, I just want to say, first of all, sorry for being late. And then first I want to say thank you for having me on here. I really like talking to other people about their experiences, see what's similar with mine. And I'll do it again in the future.
I hope so. I hope it's better experiences for you, though. I really do.
I never said anything to you right away. Like, I already sent you a report. I'll be doing a picture for that soon. I'll be doing another one. In a way, they seem to be slowing down a bit. So
that's okay.
We're here. Crossed, hopefully.
Whenever you're ready.
Yes.
Any of the TESA team want to say anything?
I just the whole secret space program thing is really interesting to me, and it was really the Robert story really resonated because I find that the deeper I dive into this, as fantastical as those stories seem, they seem to resonate and trigger memories within me. So I'm really excited to work further with everybody, and hopefully we can dive into that a little bit more.
Have you made a report? If not, you should.
I might have a whole lot more time on my hands here.
Well, I'm just saying you should invest in where you work. Make sure the product's good.
I definitely should. Yes.
Okay. Well, then I will. Stacey, the floor is yours, and then I'll do the break, and then I'll
do the break. Just find us on TESACAN.org, www.tesacan.org, and everything's there. We have so much to offer. I'm so excited for today. Let's go.
All right. So in 10 minutes, we'll be on the next show, UFOs Without Borders, with John Majorowski, and I are going to trade Canadian stories and evidence and American evidence and find out what exactly is going on. And then at 11, we will close the show. And then at 11:30, there is a special bonus video that's going to show you guys 3 minutes of the documentary Ufology to kind of give you an inside look of the vibe we're putting out there, such as the bullshit that we caught everybody in and how we're going to expose it. So stick around for that, and that's the way we're going to end the show. All right.
It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis!
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
Welcome to the Observation Deck, a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind virtual platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus, just like you would in real life. First, you install the application and design your very own unique avatar. Then you're free to explore the various areas of the campus at any time from anywhere. There's so many areas and activities to choose from on the platform. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, a large expo hall, a movie theater, a nightclub, an art gallery, and even a beach. Come attend a conference or take a class or hear a lecture. Meet new friends and interact directly with presenters. It's all right here on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Where in the world will you go?
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today by going to tesacan.org/EA. That's TESACAN.org/EA.